Well, Yak Gotti was also one of the people arrested. And, a while back, maybe about a year before, Yak Gotti actually posted an Instagram picture of himself standing. on YFN Lucci's Maybach.
Yeah, out at Lenox Mall, which is just all sorts of ironic.
Right.
They're beefing at the mall. I mean, really, like, this is where we are. Like, I feel like it's 1988 again, but there it is.
Yeah, I believe he actually used that picture on his mixtape cover.
He did. He very much did.
Right. And I remember I interviewed YFN Lucci. I asked him about that. I think he called him a hoe for doing that, but it didn't really go beyond that. Yeah. But now that picture, that Instagram photo, as well as the mixtape cover, is now part of the indictment.
Right. Because so Yak Gotti is portrayed in the indictment as a trigger puller, like as a guy who's charged with murder. And if he's standing on YFN Lucci's Maybach, it shows this connection between Yak Gotti and the gang war. Like, it's a direct provocation, like that could have led to additional violence.
Right. And like we had said in the very beginning, Yak Gotti is one of the people accused of killing
Donovan Thomas,
a.k.a. Nut. So it really ties in various ways, at least according to the indictment.
I was surprised to see that it was him, frankly. I was super surprised to see it was him. He wasn't on my radar. Like, I knew he was out there, but I had no idea that he was, like, I really want to see the evidence. Like, I want to know how the police know that there were 4 people in that car and that those were the 4. Like, the police have spoken at length in previous cases about their belief that Shannon Stillwell in this indictment was one of the people who was engaged in the drive-by. Like, I'd been looking for Shannon Jackson's name for a year. Kendrick? What? Just this whole thing has been very surprising.
Well, Fonnie Willis, the DA, actually spoke in a public meeting where she said the gangs were the number one threat against public safety. She feels that gangs are committing conservatively 75 to 80% of all the violent crimes in Atlanta that they're actually seeing out there, and they have to be booted from the community. And she said that you should absolutely expect more RICO indictments against other street gangs.
Yeah. I heard from her office today that I should expect a RICO indictment of another street gang in Atlanta soon. It's going to be, the hits are just going to keep coming. Like, it's going to be every month or two until she thinks she's done. And I don't know which one's next. I think that saying that 75 or 80% of the violence in Atlanta is attributed to gangs is what a prosecutor would say. I think she's overstating it. But I do think that a substantial number of the violent crimes in Atlanta are gang-related. Like, we're going to argue about the number, but it ain't zero, and it's a lot. It's why I'm writing about this. I am not a music journalist. I like hip-hop. But I'm very, like, Wu-Tang Clan era, if you get me. I'm a political journalist. Like, I've been looking at all of this through the lens of how all of this affects public policy around criminal justice in Georgia. Because a year or so ago, it became really clear to me that as crime was spiking, like, there was going to be this public backlash against crime, that politicians were going to use this as an excuse to crack down, and frankly, crack down on the Black community in Atlanta in ways that are ugly. And it's happened. The governor has a crime reduction unit in the state patrol that has stopped 20,000 cars over the last 18 months. They've arrested maybe 250 people on outstanding warrants, give or take, like 27 murder warrants, like hooray, except 20,000 stops. It's not fundamentally different than stop and frisk in New York. I worry that folks like Fonnie Willis or others will look at the rising crime rate as an excuse to just. And so I said, I'm going to explain what's going on. I'm going to put it in ways that anybody can understand. I'm going to explain why the violence is happening. I'm going to show the ways that you can get at it that don't involve, stop and frisk nonsense. And it's why I've been following the YSL case. Because a lot of this violence apparently connects to this crazy gang war between YSL and YFN. It's not incidental. Let me give you a statistical example. Over the last 5 months in Atlanta, the aggravated assault rate, that's the number of shootings in Atlanta, has not increased year over year. It's about flat. The number of murders is up 60%. Now, there are only so many ways that happens. People don't suddenly become more capable of committing a murder when they shoot someone. People do not randomly become better shots. It means that extra 60%, that's intentional. That means somebody's trying to kill someone else. They're not just shooting at them. And when I see that, I go, well, who's trying to kill people? That's gang stuff. A lot of that is gang stuff. And it's why they're taking this thing seriously. It's why they threw the book at a bunch of people. It's why they're going to throw the book at the next bunch of people and the next bunch of people.
Well, I think the big surprise for everyone was that after Young Thug and then Gunna get arrested and turn themselves in, no one gets bond. Was that a surprise to you at all? Especially Gunna, who really doesn't have any violent crime associated with him. He doesn't get bond either.
I think some of this is flight risk issues. I think some of this is just the number of guns that have been found. I think some of that reflects the political realities right now. Look at what happened when Christian Eppinger looked like he might, for a fleeting instant, get bond. The entire edifice of public safety in Atlanta just descended on the courthouse to say no. And that judge got lit up, and unfairly, I think. She didn't actually do anything wrong. She was following the law as she understood it. But if this is the reaction to that guy getting bond, no other judge is likely to take a risk on it, especially if they think that person who gets out on bond is going to end up either getting killed or killing someone else. Nobody wants to risk their political career on that right now.
Well, according to the DA, they're saying that, Young Thug and YSL triggered over 50 murders and incidents of gun violence.
Again,
her exact quote is, Thomas's murder, which we talked about in the beginning, is extremely significant. It occurred back in 2015, and what myself and any law enforcement member could tell you, as a result of the back and forth gun violence and murders that have occurred, have probably been in excess of 50 since 2015, triggered by the back and forth between the YSL and other gangs.
I think 50's a big number. I'm skeptical of the number, but I'm sort of adding it up in my head, and it's possible. 2015 to 2022, that's an average of 7 murders a year. Yeah, that's entirely possible. There have been 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 in the last 5 months that I would attribute to this gang war, that I know of. 5 or 6.